always been drawn to things that have nothing to do with me. In the same way that many of us in the audience may lose track of time when binge watching your favorite TV show, I'd be in Nairobi, but I'd be reading about the US midterms, or the Cold War, or how some small cities in the US somehow decide everyone's political future. But I didn't think of this as learning about another world. I was just curious. So when my school announced an exchange program to the US, I applied. Not because I wanted to see the world, but because I'd already been living between worlds, through books, through news, and through curiosity. And going on that trip made me realize something important, that curiosity can be the greatest form of empathy. When I first arrived, one of the first things my host family said to me was, "You speak English so well." And I laughed, not out loud, just internally. Because just from that interaction, I realized how different our worlds were. But I couldn't blame them. They were meeting someone from a country that they'd only seen on safaris and headlines, while I was meeting people from a country that I'd studied for years but had never actually been to. At school, I found myself explaining things like the Electoral College or the Senate. And it was funny because I hadn't been to the US before that point. But what stood out exactly wasn't that I knew the facts, it was that these facts formed a connection. And since then, I realized that curiosity can stop being something that I have and can start being something that I share. Because it's easy to judge people that you don't understand. But once you get curious about them, how they think and how they live, that judgment turns into context. And context is the formation of a connection. And I used to think that these connections were built by people with power or resources. But now, looking back, I realize they're built by people who ask questions and actually wait to hear the answer. However, as Kenyans, we're all able to navigate between worlds. Through tradition and modernity, Swahili and English, global and local, we are all fluent in contrast. However, the world right now doesn't have a lack of information. It has a lack of curiosity. We know about each other, but we don't really know each other. We need to get curious about each other. So, here's my idea. We don't need to be global citizens. We just need to be curious ones. Because when you ask instead of assume, when you choose to learn instead of scroll past, you're already forming this connection, one question at a time. And that's how the world actually changes. Not through long-winded speeches or catchy slogans, but through the simple act of being curious and asking and getting to know someone who doesn't look or live like you. Thank you.